Hey guys, Blue Bear Crypto back with another video. Today we're unboxing JingleMiner's latest Bitcoin lottery miner, going through the sale process, the efficiency, power consumption, the pros, the cons, and we'll be tearing this thing down to the bare bones to see what's under the hood. Let's go. So this was sent to me by JingleMiner to check out, and they pretty much asked for honest opinions of it. So that's what we're doing. The specs stated on their website are listed here. We've got 1.2 terahash a second with 19.17 joules per terahash. It's Wi-Fi only, uses 23 watts plus or minus 10%, and has a BM1370 chip, which is the same as the Bitaxe Gamma 601. Because of this, I thought the fairest thing to do was to directly compare the two. Both running the same hardware, slightly different software because JingleMiner have customized the original software. So you might see the power plug I'm taking out here, and checking the maximum rated output, we are looking at 25 watts. Remember that. It comes with all the mains power connectors, so whatever country you're in, you should be good to go. Which is a sign of relief for some people, but I don't see why selecting your required plug isn't an option. I'm not really planning on taking this bad boy on holiday with me anytime soon. Taking the solar miner out of its cage, we've got the Wi-Fi antenna sitting on top ready to get screwed in. Got a bit carried away here and decided we are now a crypto and ASMR channel. You're welcome. Screwing the antenna in, we've got a nice big thumbs up to let me know that I can start recording the next bit.
I was editing notes, don't add that to the video.
Oh, one sec, just reminder to delete that one. The plug is pretty cheap, but the click was quite satisfying to be fair. Here I'm trying to remind you that you shouldn't be sticking your plugs in the wrong sockets. You're in for a bad experience if you do this, but also props to you if you can make it happen here. Finally plugging the cable in, we've got liftoff. We get the JingleMiner screen followed by the first time setup instructions. So comparing the UI to what you get with the Bitaxe, it's all the same stuff with a different design. Setup is dead simple. Once you've connected to your Wi-Fi, you then check the IP address which is on the screen of the miner, type that into your browser, and you're back in and able to change your mining settings. Something that threw me off at the start is this thing takes a lot longer to show its full hash power when you turn it on. Most other miners get to full throttle in seconds, and this one takes about 10 minutes. Checking the mining pool, it does actually get to full hash rate in seconds. It's just the display that needs to catch up. Bit of a weird one. You might notice that even after a few minutes of mining, there's very little heat that comes out of the left and right vents. But what is going on with that wonk of a cable? I was sure the solder connections must be loose or something, but we will find the answer in the teardown. Here's a little time lapse of the hash rate slowly getting up to speed. Very slowly. Here is one of the biggest issues I have with the Solo miner. We have a plug here rated at 25 watts. We have a wattage of 17.684 watts on the display, and I have a watt meter showing 28.3 watts. What the hell is going on? Now we're going to compare the Bitaxe Gamma 601 and the JingleMining lottery miner. You can see in the UIs both devices are running at a frequency of 600 and a voltage of 1150. Now all we need to check is the average hash rate, power usage and temperatures, and we'll have a good idea for which one is better. Just to quickly note here also, the power plug sent with the Bitaxe from PowerMining is rated at 30 watts, which I feel is a more sensible rating. This will cover the Bitaxe up to its maximum overclock without exceeding that limit. So here we go. The Bitaxe is running at the clock speed we've already set, currently operating at a temperature of 55.6 degrees Celsius and running at 24.5 watts. Here we have the JingleMining miner. The device is showing a watt usage of just shy of 16 watts, and my watt meter is showing at 26.2 watts and then 25.9. Then I thought for a hot second. Out of the box, both of these devices can be overclocked without needing to tweak anything. There's no reason why a consumer can't overclock this if the option is natively in the UI. So that's what I did. Maximum overclocks, baby! The JingleMiner overclock rates are slightly less than the Bitaxe. Might be something to do with already being over the maximum wattage of the plug or something, but we maxed it out and copied the same settings to the Bitaxe, and here are the results. Now we're showing at 18.4 watts on the device, running at 60 degrees, and we have 29 watts at the wall. The Bitaxe is running at 64 degrees on the device and 28.7 watts at the wall. This is the current setup I have to maintain the temperature of the mining shed. The thermometer was the little metal thing dangling down, and the exhaust fans will start ramping up if we go over 21 degrees. The higher the temperature, the faster the fans run to cool the shed. I let these miners run for 24 hours at a more reserved clock speed to see, on average, which had the best hash rate. Checking the mining pool, we've got PowerMining's Bitaxe running at a slightly higher hash rate at the 5-minute, hour and day marks. Going into the data for the JingleMiner, we've got fairly consistent hash rates, which is good, and no dropouts, which can sometimes be a problem with miners on Wi-Fi. Looking pretty much the same for Bitaxe's stats also. So far, I'd say the Bitaxe is winning in terms of hash rate and efficiency or power usage. Where the JingleMiner shines is in operating temperature. I wasn't confident with the box design at first, but when you check inside, you'll see why it runs cooler. Let's compare the prices of these devices. Scrolling down JingleMining's website, we eventually find the BTC Solo Lite 1.2 terahash, and it's going to cost you $189 US, and that is with shipping included. If you are getting one of these, don't forget to add the coupon code for a small discount, which will bring the total to $187.11, and that is Blue Bear Crypto. Moving over to PowerMining's website, we have the Bitaxe at a cost of £103 with shipping costing £11 on top. So £114 total, but again, if you use the discount code BlueBearCrypto, you will get £10.30 off your order. So let's call the total £103.70p. Here is the data from my tests. The Bitaxe wins both the hash rate and power consumption, but does run slightly warmer than the JingleMiner. I will also note, straight out of the box, the JingleMiner can run at its maximum overclock without overheating, and there is also an option to increase the overheating shutdown temperature, which is useful. Whilst the Bitaxe can be overclocked a bit harder, it will not run for more than a few minutes in a normal room temperature setting at the highest speeds. You will need to add better fans and heat sinks if you want this to run a bit cooler. Once you find the temperature limit with the Bitaxe, you will be making the most out of it. Going back to the JingleMiner, it is great that you can overclock it and it can run fine, but the 25 watt power plug is concerning. Just a quick check to make sure everything's working before I start this. Yeah, we're looking good. Really curious about that turbo wonk of a connection right there. Nice look at the vents. Seem to be pulling their weight. Might have been worth making these bigger for even more airflow, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. Let's turn it off and try to dissect it as much as we can without permanently turning it off. Using the trusty iFixit kit here. Not sponsored or anything, but this has been one of the most valuable purchases I've made. Unscrewing the housing screws now. 4 on each side, so 8 in total to get both side panels off. Now I thought I'd recorded this, but the wonky connector is just the inside of the port having a bit of movement. It is firmly soldered to the board, thankfully. Quick glance into the insides and it's starting to look like a regular Bitaxe on the internals, but there is a noticeable difference in the amount of heat sinks, which is probably why this is running a bit cooler. There's 2 buttons on the miner, one to turn the display off and on, and the other to go through the different display options. With this fan, I didn't notice it too much at this point, but it screws directly into a gap in the heatsink, not into a screw hole or anything. It works for now, not sure if it will if you take the fan off more than a few times, but I've just not seen that before. Disconnecting the fan here to release the front from the back, bit of a wiggle needed thanks to the Wi-Fi antenna part, and we are separated. Disconnecting the Wi-Fi antenna was a bit fiddly, but it just clicked off. This is the back of the display unit. This is the main board with a nice chunky heatsink and some smaller ones on the MOSFETs front and back. And that's pretty much it. Overall, I think they've done a good job to keep this thing cool whilst being inside a case. Now it's time to put it back together. That's the boring bit, so I'll speed this up. Oh yeah, as I was putting this thing together, I realised the pin layout looked familiar. So I got the more gimmicky Bitcoin lottery miner out, and it was a match. But it already has a display on it, so I don't really know why this is needed. Probably best not to try and hook it up to the... Oh god. So moving over to a different timeline where the universe didn't implode, it actually lights a little green light up on the display, so it's definitely doing something. But now we know that, let's just put it back together. Oh god! Moving on to a third timeline where there were no universe-ending explosions, the display hasn't shorted out and works as normal when you plug it back in. Thank God. Now we've just got to connect the Wi-Fi antenna back up, the fan connector, and then wrap it all up. I did notice it was harder to get the screws to bite into the heatsink when putting it back in. Also, those two little plastic buttons, yeah, they were a ball ache to get back in without coming straight back out again. On the final stretch now, what do you guys think of this miner? Worth taking a shot and getting one, or sticking with the Bitaxe? For me, if the price was the same, I think it would come down to how hot the space you're running it in is. If it's too hot, you'll have to underclock your Bitaxe, whereas the JingleMiner will be able to run cooler and just not shut down as quickly. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.